Hello everybody and welcome to Marchantage 2021. This video you're watching right now is my contribution to this event, and I'm really excited about it because when I first heard about Marchantage, I thought this would be really cool to contribute to. Now, I'm sure some of you watching, perhaps most of you watching, have no idea what I'm talking about. You have no clue what Marchantage is, so allow me to briefly explain. So Marchantage is an event put on by the Macintosh retro computing community here on YouTube and across other social media platforms, and the concept is very similar to DOScember. I'm sure a lot of you know what that is. That's during the month of December, where everyone kind of gets together to produce MS-DOS and just vintage PC related content. Marchantage is similar to that, but with the Macintosh retro computing community, and even those people who don't normally produce Macintosh related content like myself. I would not consider myself a retro Apple or a vintage Apple YouTuber, but this is a vintage tech channel. Even though we tend to focus more on the Windows side of things over here, this is still a vintage tech related channel, and I have produced content relating to Apple before. In fact, and some of you might be surprised to know this, I own more vintage Apple computers than I do vintage PCs, because I started collecting these things years ago, actually around the same time I started my channel. In fact, it was one of the main reasons I wanted to make a YouTube channel. And I've also collaborated with a couple of the people that are participating in this event, and that's actually how I first heard about it. And yes, the Macintosh SE is finally making its return on the channel after almost 3 years. Most of you watching have probably never seen this computer on my channel before, because the last video I did featuring it was back in 2018. I did a little overview video of it, and I talked briefly about its history, how I came to acquire it, etc. You can check that out up in the cards. But today we're going to be doing a video focused on one of my favorite topics relating to vintage computers and just tech in general, and that is Easter eggs, those little hidden secrets that developers put in their software. Now, I did a video on Windows Easter eggs back at the end of 2019, but I haven't really talked about the Apple side of things, but there definitely were and are Apple Easter eggs, and today we're going to be talking about two really cool ones that I believe are unique to the Macintosh SE and SE FD-HD. Now, I personally first discovered this Easter egg in this edition of Macworld magazine that was written in December of 2012, and inside there's an article entitled "Hackers Dig Up Easter Eggs in Mac SE ROM." It talks about this group of people known as NYC Resistor who found a Macintosh SE on the side of the road. Don't you wish that would happen more often? So they ended up taking it and they started examining the ROM, and they found these hidden images inside. Now, the Easter egg is actually pretty well documented, as the article says here. In fact, that link right there takes you to a page over on eeggs.com that was written in 1999, and even that isn't necessarily the first time that this was discovered. It could have been discovered years before then, but that was the earliest article that I was able to find, or the earliest web page that talks about it. But this group took it a step further because they wanted to disassemble the ROM and figure out how the images got inside, as the article says. Though at the time this article was written, they were still analyzing the code, and they even thought there might be an audio file hidden inside, but as far as I know, no one was ever able to discover that. But hey, if anyone wants to take a try at it, feel free. Now, even though the eEggs page erroneously says that you can access these images on a Macintosh Plus, lots of people tried that, and they confirmed that it only works on a Macintosh SE or an SE FD-HD like we have here. Now, FD-HD is short for floppy disk high density, though it also includes a hard drive, which is very nice, which is what I actually thought the HD stood for the longest time. But no, it's all for the floppy drive, or should I say super drive. No, not this super drive, obviously. This is the original super drive, which was essentially Apple's super cool name that they used for their 1.44 megabyte high density floppy disk drive, and I guess it got reused many years later to refer to the CD/DVD drive. But anyway, I digress. Let's talk about the Easter eggs. Now, to access this, you need to press the programmer's key, or the interrupt button, on the side of the computer, which is this one right here. Now, the programmer's key itself is actually contained on the motherboard, but Apple included this little insert in the box of many Macintosh models, and you would put it on the side of your computer, and this would give you a very easy way to press that button. So, we're going to press it here, and it's going to open up the debugger. And with the debugger open, we're going to type out G space 41D89A and press return. And check that out, you get 4 images of the development team. Now, according to this Macworld article right here, these are images of the Mac Plus crew, as it says right there, showing the Mac Plus crew. I thought it was the Mac SE crew, which would make sense after all these are included on a Macintosh SE. So maybe that's a misprint, maybe this is the Mac Plus crew, maybe the same group of people worked on the Mac Plus and the Mac SE, but either way, this is really, really awesome because this was included on literally every Mac SE and every Mac SE FDHD that was sold by Apple. You had these images on it, but obviously most people had no idea. And that's the cool thing about Easter eggs. That's kind of what they were originally used for. They were a way to give credit to the developers. We saw that in Adventure. That's one of the very first Easter eggs where the programmer's name is hidden. And I talk more about that in the Windows Easter egg video, but there's one more that I want to talk about. So we're going to reset here. So we're back at the desktop with the debugger open, and this time we're going to type in G space 4188A4 and press return. Now you'll see right up next to the Apple logo, there's now some text that says stolen from Apple computer. Now maybe this isn't technically an Easter egg, but it's still pretty cool to see because this is a sort of anti-piracy measure that Apple implemented into the ROM of the Mac SE and SE FDHD. Where if somebody were to try to copy the ROM and make like a Macintosh clone, this would display. That way Apple could prove that the ROM was stolen from them and everybody would know where the ROM came from. Also, I'd highly recommend Steve from Mac84's video on the Macintosh clones if you want to learn a lot more about the early days of what we could consider the very first Hackintosh computers, which is pretty cool. There's a lot of stuff that I personally didn't really know about, and that's only part 1 of a series that he's working on. Steve has also already produced some content for Marchantage. This video wasn't a part of that. It was released, I believe, back in January, but it's still a super awesome video, and I'd highly recommend checking it out. And as for Marchantage, if you guys would like to see some more Marchantage content from me, I've got a couple more ideas that I'd like to you know, do on videos, so if you'd like to see that, be sure to let me know. And if you want to see more Marchantage content in general, I'll have a link down below to the YouTube page you can go to see all the videos that have the Marchantage hashtag somewhere in the description. There's a lot of people so far that have produced videos for Marchantage, and if you yourself would like to get in on this, I'll have the website linked down below as well, as I mentioned earlier, where you can read up on it and see if it might be something that you're interested in doing. But as for me, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's episode. If you guys enjoyed this one, be sure to give it a thumbs up, be sure to get subscribed down below, and turn on those channel notifications if you haven't already to get notified whenever I upload a new video, which I do multiple times every single week on this channel. And as always, I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.